Lovecraftian horror in a 2.5D comic book style?
This is cool as fuck.
What is up, zombies and ghouls? Today we're going to be taking a look at the sick and twisted world of Forgive Me Father. This 2.5D comic style Lovecraftian horror FPS experience doesn't leave a lot to be desired, except maybe a sequel. Well, guess what? A sequel is on the way, which means there's no better time than like the present to jump into this game. So without further ado, bust out your shovels and let's dig in. Have you ever wondered what a 2.5D Lovecraftian horror FPS would look like? No? Me either, but once I found this hidden gem, I had to tell as many people as I could. This game is packing some super sick guns, a killer soundtrack, enemies that are cool as fuck, and an aesthetic that is bound to knock your socks off. Forgive Me Father starts off with you picking your character. You have the option to play as either a priest, which is the male character, or a journalist, which is the female character. The way you play changes a little bit depending on which character you choose. The journalist is a little quicker, allowing you to maneuver through enemies easily, while the priest is a tad bit slower and more methodical with his movements, requiring you to time dodging enemy attacks more accurately. I decided to roll with the priest on my first playthrough. Each character also has their own skill sets, further differentiating the way you play, and we'll get into how the skills work in a minute. But first I wanted to introduce you to this magically dark world and give you a brief synopsis of what to expect when you first dip your toes into the game. Forgive Me Father is an homage to classic 90s first-person shooters such as Quake and Doom, plain and simple. The mechanics are quite similar in regards to running, jumping, and no ability to aim down sights. However, in this game, you do have the ability to actually look up and down, unlike some of those old retro shooters. The movement is as fluid as you would want it to be, and the aiming feels buttery smooth. What really modernizes this game and separates it from the classics is your abilities. I can best describe it as a mix between Doom and Hexen if it was a modern styled game. Your character has the ability to use powers that aid you during your fights, but they definitely aren't overpowered or anything. What's cool is the abilities actually differ between the two characters. The priest has a crucifix which heals a small amount of health. You'll want to make sure not to be overcome by enemies when using this, as there is a bit of delay after casting. The Aspergillium you can use to flick holy water on enemies. This ability immobilizes said enemy or enemies for a short period of time. The Necronomicon. I love that they put this in the game as an Evil Dead fan. The Necronomicon provides the priest with a brief moment of invincibility, allowing you to run through enemies to get a leg up on the enemies. Then we have the Medallion. The Medallion gives you infinite ammo for a brief period of time. This is extremely useful for the machine guns and explosive weapons. Then we go on to the journalist abilities. Her abilities, as I mentioned before, lean to a more aggressive playstyle on the side of crowd control. She has a voodoo doll which damages enemies within a certain radius. This will kill a lot of the weaker enemies, so if you're getting swarmed, it's really nice to have. The camera, which stuns enemies for a set amount of time, making them easier to take out. Burning Sage, which grants you a golden sword that heals you for every hit but also tends to get you killed. It puts out high damage and seems good on paper, but it's pretty much the most worthless skill in the game, particularly when fighting ranged enemies. I recommend only using it when dealing with non-ranged enemies, such as when you're getting swarmed by melee mobs. The ability as it sits right now seems like an aggressive counterpart of the priest crucifix. You can get a bit of health back off of the melee enemies, but that's all it's really good for right now. Then we have cigarettes, which slow enemies around you within a certain radius, allowing for maximized crowd control. The priest also uses a lantern, which lightens a broad area but doesn't have a very far reach. On the other hand, the journalist uses a flashlight that doesn't cover as much area but has a further reach. Forgive Me Father starts you off on a journey to find the truth, the world overtaken by a Lovecraftian sickness that has hurled the people within it into a horror one could only imagine. You dig through this horrific yet beautiful world on a search for what happened to your cousin Lewis. Lewis disappeared when this all started and left you clues along the way. These notes are how the story unfolds on your search for the truth. I found the way the storytelling is done very cryptic yet captivating. When you're playing, you'll want to know what happened. We even have some nods to other franchises. Doctor Who, anyone? I know, I'm reaching pretty far, but to all you Whovians out there like me, let me know down in the comments if this reminds you of the TARDIS. When leveling up in this dark and twisted world, you unlock skill points. The way they work is through this little skill tree. You can level up your character's specific abilities, your weapons, to get some weird fishy shotgun or these monstrosity knives. Hell, you can even level up your experience progression so that you'll level up faster. The level designs in Forgive Me Father really play well with the eldritch horror theme the game is going for. From an attic in a giant maze of a house or a graveyard with a very eerie feeling of dread, to the swamps and fish people with tentacles ready to rip you to shreds. As far as enemies are concerned, the enemies in this game were no slouch either, and neither is the difficulty. You will die a lot, but you'll quickly learn how to maneuver around the enemies and their attacks, allowing you to get to the next area in no time. The ranged enemies are what you really need to look out for, specifically these bastards. They put out a ton of damage and will really fuck you up in the early game until you know what you're doing. We also have bosses. I'm only going to show the first one as a little taste because the rest of them are just too damn cool to experience through a video. You really will need to play the game to appreciate them. Just know that the bosses are tough, but just like any of the other enemies, you figure out their attack patterns and you'll be making them into fish food in no time. As you've been seeing so far throughout this video, Forgive Me Father boasts a pretty wide range of weapons. We have the Thompson, pistols, shotgun, MP18, knife, and a harpoon gun, with a ton of variations between each one regarding skills. If we took the time to go through all of them, we could be here all day, so I'll just say the weapons are super fun, they all feel very unique, and I'm sure you'll enjoy playing with all of them. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, you can make the blood green in the options. This can really make the game feel fresh on a second playthrough with the other character when paired with the new abilities. Overall, I'd say this game is a solid 4 out of 5. It does exactly what you would expect it to with some really nice stylized graphics. I really enjoyed my time with it. The only reason it doesn't get a 5 out of 5 from me is because I think some people will be turned off by the difficulty even on the easiest setting. But don't be. It's a great game. You just need to learn the patterns. If you liked this video, be sure to drop a like or a dislike if you didn't. Are you planning to pick this game up? Let me know down in the comments. If you have already tried this game, make sure to check this one out. I hear it's a must play. If you do pick this game up, try not to get lost in the depths of the water. I hear it's a really spooky place, but just in case you do, always remember, don't get bit. Peace.